Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, somebody you haven't heard from on the radio in a while, but you can watch her on Panic Room with me on WRALSportsFan.com. It's Lauren Brownlow. Brownlow, what up?
Hello. Thanks for having me again. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been on radio. It's weird.
I was gonna say you're a little out of practice on the radio side of things. Do we want to give people an update? What you're up to? I mean, because obviously we got Panic Room, but there's a reason why you haven't been on the radio in a while.
Well, I'm still dealing with long COVID, folks. 0 out of 10 would not recommend. Has not been fun. I still just tire out very easily. Joe can attest. He's seen it. We've had to kind of schedule around my episodes of fatigue and whatnot. It does not take me very much to need a few hours of rest, but I am doing better mentally, so I will take that. I am taking my W's wherever they are presented to me. So, yeah.
So you said you're doing better mentally, which is, I guess, the reason why we shouldn't talk about the Carolina Panthers, or you...
Oh, it's fine. Now it's just funny. Like,
okay.
I can't tell you how hard I laughed watching them on Sunday because of my son. I don't know if you happened to see this tweet.
I think you should say what Alex said to you while watching the Panthers and the Bengals on Sunday.
So as it's like really escalating, and boy did it,
Yeah.
We kind of had it on in the background, and then we kind of go closer to like, okay, let's see what's going on here. And Alex is just watching them score and score. And I think this is right when they went up 28-0. He was like, wait, but they just had points. And I'm like, yeah, I know, buddy. And he goes, but they need to give the Panthers turns to score. This isn't fair. And I'm like, oh, buddy, no, they are. They are. It's just not. They're not.
At least the Panthers will look good on Thursday night when they're taking on the Falcons, wearing those black helmets, those new black helmets with black uniform. You've seen the picture, right?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. For a minute, I thought you meant like play well. I'm like, well,
no. I
mean,
expect
it can't get much worse, to be honest.
No, I don't expect them to play well, but at least they'll look good in the process, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know. I like the look. I like the. I guess the part with the Panthers is frustrating. Is Steve Wilkes is somebody you can root for, right? And maybe there's like a good story in PJ Walker, and you see defensively with the Panthers, at least the core group that they believe in. And maybe the Atlanta game, the first meeting between the Panthers and the Falcons that should have gone the Panthers' way if it wasn't for a DJ Moore removed helmet. More specifically, Eddie Pinheiro needs to make one of those two kicks that he missed. I feel like that game broke them, and then you saw the follow-up against the Bengals, and now they're seeing the Falcons again on Thursday night. What's wild is that like 2-7, they're still kind of sort of in the NFC South. Somebody has to win the NFC South because nobody believes in the Bucs, obviously.
You remember we thought that would be a good division? Like, people were saying that.
Yeah. People were saying. Some people were saying, yes.
People were saying it was possible.
Yeah.
Not me, but I didn't know it would be like this either.
Yeah.
So it's pretty bad.
I don't know. Maybe the future Panthers quarterback will be Drake May when Tar Heels play in the ACC championship game against Clemson. Because to me it's an inevitability at this point. So
I was gonna say, like, wait, is he draft eligible?
No.
I didn't know that because they're probably gonna have. I mean, they're on track to potentially at least have the #1 pick. Although you know how that goes with them. They don't always tend to do what they need to do to get there.
Considering what the Colts just did by hiring Jeff Saturday as their interim head coach, and they don't know who's going to call plays. I mean, here's the thing about the Colts and hiring Jeff Saturday. And I get what
NFL knows it's getting sued, right? And like for what reasons?
Yeah, I know. Well, here's the question though, because there's this attitude. Like, and Gilio brought this up yesterday, and I agree that if the Colts are going to tank, they're going to go all the way in on tanking. Okay.
Yeah.
And Jeff Saturday is somebody to put out there. He's not going to get the head coaching job.
Right.
Maybe you don't want to elevate a coordinator. But to me, I'm like, if you really wanted to tank, if you really wanted to show offensive ineptitude, you know who's on staff, right? You know who's on the Colts staff?
Who is on the Colts?
John Fox. Like, if you don't want to score points,
right,
you just elevate John Fox at that point.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't anyway. Like,
former
that's
Panthers
weird.
Coach.
It's like making this huge show of like, okay, we're going to hire someone who's never because the problem with me isn't the hiring of him. The problem is like acting like it just might work. So crazy, it just might work. And it's like, I don't know. You do have a former Colts player on your staff who's pretty beloved that actually has like a little more relevant experience in this arena. And don't get me wrong,
about Reggie
I love
Wayne.
Jeff Saturday. He's great. I like
is.
Jeff. It's not that. It's just, but I mean, it's a tough thing, right? Because then when the Panthers elevate a guy like Steve Wilkes to interim and you hear David Tepper say, oh, he has to do an absolutely amazing job to keep the job. Like, you do understand that it's kind of a double-edged sword, even if you want to put, a black assistant coach in that kind of position when it's not going to finish well.
Yeah.
So, there's pros and cons both ways. But that was one of those moments for me where I was like, excuse me, what?
Lauren Brownlow, WRALSportsFan.com, ACC Panic Room with me, joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Back to the Tar Heels. They see Wake Forest on Saturday, and understandably, the Demon Deacons are feeling a little down right now. They had a meltdown in the third quarter against Louisville, and then they lost a tough one to NC State this past Saturday. I know our friend Ross Martin over at Inside Carolina put up just how much Sam Hartman has been gotten to, in terms of sacks. He was the most sacked quarterback in college in the last couple weeks. But I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, okay, I see that from Louisville. I certainly see that from NC State.
Sure.
What they bring to the table defensively. Carolina doesn't. And I still think Carolina's going to win this game, but it's going to have to be, 56-50. And, Drake May is going to have to go out there with the offense and have I don't want to call it a flawless game, but they're going to have to kind of bail it out all the time. And to me, this is why Drake May probably belongs in the Heisman Trophy conversation, because just how much he is necessary to this 8-1 record for the Tar Heels this season.
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree with that. I will say this, because we've seen this with Wake and Carolina before. It's not always which defense, and mostly on Wake's end, much to their chagrin, right? It's not always which defense is going to go out there and be the most dominant and force the most turnovers. It's which offense turns it over at the most inopportune moments, right? Mm-hmm. And that, I think, that's how we've seen this game play out the last couple of years. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to play out the same way. I don't know. I mean, the over-under, what is it? Do you know?
I'd have to go look it up. I don't have it in front of me. Is it over
100?
I mean, I would have to imagine.
It won't be over 100, right?
I would imagine it would be, yeah. I would take the over.
That's a little, I think that's a little high even for some. It's got to be in the 90s, though. I would think 80s or 90s.
Yeah, I'd have to go look it up.
So, I mean, everybody expects there to be points. That doesn't necessarily mean there will be. It could just play out and be a super weird game. But, yeah, I mean, that's the way it's played out. That's the way it seems like it's going to, again, is that Carolina's offense is going to have to score. But I don't, like I said, it's weird. You can sometimes see ghosts at times if you're a quarterback and you start getting, I mean, we've seen it. Look at Brennan Armstrong at the start of the season. He hasn't started looking remotely like himself until the last couple of weeks because he was seeing ghosts every snap. I mean, Tommy DeVito transferred out of Syracuse, but he's still getting sacked. I think there was some stat about how many times he's been sacked, and it's a ton of times. Yeah. It's 50-some times in his last 2 seasons. So, I mean, I'm saying that it can kind of freak you out. It can affect your play a little bit. Things can get a little squirrely. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Sam Hartman. All I'm saying is I wouldn't look at Carolina's defense on paper and go, oh, well, they're not very good. He should bounce right back, and just be so certain of that for that reason. Do you know what I'm saying? The way the last few games have played out, I think will or could matter. I hope to see Wake bounce back. I haven't liked to see this dip from them, and love to see them bounce back. Love to see Carolina play at a high level as well, and its defense play like it had been playing, the 2 weeks before the Virginia game too.
Lauren Brownlow, WRALSportsFan.com, ACC Panic Room, joining us here on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Giglio is out today. He's got the sniffles. He'll be back tomorrow. Speaking of Giglio, do you think he's doing an admirable job filling in for you on the AP voting? Because you're the AP top 25 voter. He's had to pinch it for you this year.
I haven't dissected his ballot or anything.
All right.
My only quibble, I'm sure, that I'd have with his ballots is that he does not give the love to the mid majors the G5s.
I see.
I
see.
So I don't know where he has the green wave.
You know what's going to happen tonight, by the way, in the college football playoff rankings with TCU, right?
You know what? I predicted it.
Did you? What'd you predict?
Well, I did say I'm going to laugh when LSU is ranked ahead of TCU in the playoff.
Easily, yes. That's totally going to happen.
I will cry laughing. I'm sorry. And you'll see. Watch Florida State check in at 19.
Sure.
Although
but
maybe
I don't know though. I don't know
well,
because after Clemson lost, because Alabama and Clemson no longer have to be propped up by the framework of the college football playoff. Okay, right. 2 losses for Alabama. That's probably they're too far gone right now. And
I wouldn't say that.
See, but it's not just the 2 losses. The 2 losses for Alabama, I think, the 2 losses for Alabama highlight just how close Alabama's been to disaster this season. All right.
It doesn't. Here's the thing. I would bet anybody. Maybe I should get a Patreon and start doing this.
Okay.
You give me a college football team, and I will come up with like a justification to have them in the top 4. I don't care who. I will make something up because they can just make something up. Like, that's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter what we think is going to happen. Like, they could just say they're super talented. They've been so close in these losses. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like. They talk to us like we're dumb anyway. Why wouldn't they do that with Alabama? I want to do the experiment and, like, let's see how many losses Alabama can get to before they're really out of the conversation. I think it might be 4. I really do.
I think it's 2 with the close win against Texas. I mean, they struggled against
LSU's in the top 4.
Things were dicey against Texas A&M, Lauren. Like, I'm just saying. I don't know.
Listen, you and I are on the same page.
Okay.
I think part of it, right, is the similar reason for, like, Drake May getting a lot of buzz. In Carolina being fun because they have a great offense, right, and they have a great player. Alabama. Sure. Bryce Young, same thing. I think that's kind of overcoming maybe some of their warts in the eyes of some because it's like he's so fun to watch play. And he is super fun to watch play. But I think that maybe people aren't looking at them as critically, and because they're Bama, like they have earned it a little, a lot more than even Clemson.
But Clemson doesn't earn that. I mean, it took 1 loss. I mean, look, did they get manhandled by Notre Dame? Yes.
Yeah.
And now they got some serious questions. It's not just DJ Uiagalelei. I mean, what happened to the defense was surprising for Clemson. But I do think it's interesting just how quickly Dabo went from the Clemson head coach went from DJ's our guy, don't create something out of nothing, et cetera, to today Dabo talking about, well, Cade Klubnik's going to need some reps and, this and that. I'm like, oh, that went quickly. I guess you did not believe in DJ as much as you said you were believing in DJ.
Whatever happens to them will be,
it's on Dabo.
That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
Whatever happens to Clemson this year, fans can create all sorts of conversations, but whatever happens, Dabo's going to have to own it from, the belief in DJ Uiagalelei, which at first looked like had been proven correct by Dabo, but obviously that has changed in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I should say.
Never mind. I was going to say, for me, I don't know that it's changed all that much. What has Klubnik done that's all that different?
That's fair. That's fair. But also, there's the decision to elevate the assistants the way that he did, rather than bringing in somebody to disrupt. And that's where that could also be, unless this is a long play from Dabo, that hey, look, we're going to take our lumps this year, still win the ACC, and then we'll be right back at it. And their refresh, their rebuild is a little bit slower than, say, Alabama's. But that's an unfair comparison, because what Nick Saban's been able to do with the Crimson Tide, no other program can just have these windows like he does. Lauren Brownlow.
Yeah, go ahead. Well,
as you say, Lauren Brownlow, WRALSportsFan.com, ACC Panic Room, hanging out with us here on the OG.
For me, though, with Clemson and the Dabo DJ decision, and I'm not trying to hot take this too much.
Sure.
But we all knew what the reasons for the Kelly Bryant decision were. We understood them, even at the time. I think if you combine that with the DJ decision, I'm just saying, I don't know that I'd be super thrilled about sending my kid there to play quarterback. I might be a little bit worried about, how long you're really going to stick with me? Yeah. If your fans always just want the next great NFL prospect, how long are you going to stick with my kid if he has a couple of rough games?
Wait, are we talking about Clemson fans or NC State fans? Which one? Which fans are we talking about? Because, what have you done for me lately, Devin Leary? Hey, if he transfers, no big deal, right? But they got MJ Morris. They got MJ Morris now, right? I will,
but here's the one difference, though, is that it's not as if their offense hasn't looked different with the other quarterback.
Okay.
Has Klubnik made Clemson's offense look better?
No, he hasn't.
Has he himself, besides him handing it off and completing a few short and not turning it over as much? I get that that's important. I understand. Mm-hmm. But for me, the way that this season went from like you said, he believes in DJ, all of a sudden now, getting him some reps, I'm like, okay. That's cool and all, but I wouldn't be super cool with it if I was going to send my kid there to play quarterback. That is all I'm saying.
That's Lauren Brownlow, WRALSportsFan.com, ACC Panic Room. It's good to hear from you. I hear from you all the time. I'm sure for the radio audience, it was good to hear from you. I did this audience survey for the OG, And there's like two themes mainly that came out of the audience survey.
Okay.
The first one is that I'm an ass. And then the second one is that it's true. And the second one was, where's Brownlow? Where's Brownlow? So hopefully the people on the OG audience survey were happy to hear you today.
I mean, my appearances just have to be very carefully structured at this point. That's
like today.
Yes, exactly like today.
Like today. All right, Lauren. We will talk to you later, and we'll have an a little bit of a delayed ACC panic room this weekend as I'm coming back from Florida from my brother's wedding. But there will be an ACC panic room this weekend. Thanks, Lauren.